found my first Blanton's. Wow. That's different. I really like that. Peychauds or Peychauds or Peychaud.
Yeah, no, I'm gorgeous. Although probably fuzzier was better.
Okay. So this is not what I expected. And away we go. It's Thursday and we are drinking. Michael, how are you? Thanks for joining so quick. I love it. Nothing better to do this first week of the new year, I guess. I know that I have lots to do. This was just one of those days I had to turn everything off. I turned off my phone. Not mute, not airplane mode. I turned it off. I turned off my texting from my computer. I turned off the various social media, blah, 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 until about 7 o'clock tonight when I realized, oh my, I got to get ready. So, yeah, it's been one of those weeks. Yeah, busy week for me. So, but never too busy to spend the Thursday evening with you having a little tipsy, right? All right, before we go too far, before we do anything, I want to do a mea culpa. I kind of gave a couple of bourbons a not so nice review, and I should have given them a nicer review. After some time, some of these bourbons got a little bit better. I want to start off with one that I kind of wasn't very nice to last week, and that's Horse Soldier. I've had the opportunity. Kevin's watching. How's it going? All right. How's it going? I wasn't very nice to Horse Soldier last week. And, I mean, I was nice. It was okay. But the best thing that I could give you out of this was earthy. It's earthy. Well, I'm going to put it in this glass. I want to give it just a little taste here. Nothing big. And give you kind of a newer presentation of Horse Soldier, because as it sat, again, I'm not a big believer in the neck pour, but I do believe that once a bourbon has set for a while, it can open back up again. And so I'm going to give Horse Soldier just one more chance here. Neat. I liked it best on ice last week. We're going to try it neat one more time. Kevin says, I don't have that one. I'll pour something. Well, we're going to do Stranahans tonight, so we'll get to that one here shortly. Hello, Michael. Hello. All right. On the nose, it's still very pleasant. I like Horse Soldier on the nose a lot. There's just a lot going on in that nose, and there's citrus, and there's caramel, and there's vanilla, and there's just a lot of life in that nose. It was on the palate that I had trouble with last week. Well, let's give it another shot, because I've had it since, and I kind of started to like it a little bit. So, yeah, so that was just a little sip, but it's still kind of a little on the earthy side. It's got a really nice bloom to it. I am pulling out some more of the caramels that I wasn't able to get last week. It still has a very oakiness to it, which I actually like, but it's not as characterless as I painted it towards last week. It actually is better than that. And I just wanted to give it a little bit of a salute because I think it deserves it. Okay, it's a decent pour. It's still not in my top 50, but I do like this one better than I did when I first opened it. So I would tell you, if you buy Horse Soldier, this is the signature. If you buy this one, pour a couple out of it, maybe make some cocktails or something, and then let it sit. Let it sit for a few days, and then try it again. This I'm going to let it sit now for a couple of weeks before I get into it again. Now that I've just had one, I'm going to let it sit. All right, so that's Horse Soldier. I wanted to give that a little bit of love that it didn't get last week. Let me just finish that up. Still earthy, but it's good in an earthy kind of way. All right, the other one that I didn't, I haven't profiled it here on Facebook, but I did do a YouTube live. That was not successful. Nobody watched it. I don't think anybody's seen the video yet. That's okay. That's all right. I'll hit it real quick here. I've kind of gone through this bottle over the last month, but this is the Hirsch. It's called the Horizon. I didn't really care for it when I first tried it. It seemed really thin to me. But we're gonna, I don't have a whole lot left in this, but we're gonna just do a little pour here. It had decent flavor, but it was just thin. It's this one is 92 proof, and it doesn't have the mouthfeel of 92 proof, and it doesn't have the bloom of 92 proof. At least it didn't when I tried it. But again, this one has sat for a month, and I have just been getting at it again. I think I started at it a little bit before Christmas because I wanted to get it off my shelf, and the more I drank it, the more I liked it, as you can tell by what's left in the bottle. That's the one I might actually finish tonight when we're done with this. The nose, not a lot going on with the nose. The ethanol is on the nose. It's got a little bit of a licorice and definitely some cinnamon. Maybe just a little bit of honey. All right, let's go. Yeah, so it's still thin, and it still doesn't have a lot of bloom or anything like that, but if you like 80 proof bourbons, even though this is more than that, I would point you to this one. It's very smooth. It's easy drinking because it just doesn't assault you, you know. It's good enough for what it's for. Right? I mean, there's just some of those utility bourbons that you buy. This is a little expensive for a utility bourbon, but it's just one of those that you buy because it's different and it's drinkable, and you don't have to save it for a special occasion or anything like that. So I wanted to give Hirsch just another taste. It is a little thin, but you know, it's got a nice flavor to it, so why not? All right, tonight though, the star of the show is the Stranahans. This is one of 6 offerings from a distillery in Denver, Colorado. It's all 100% malted barley. They don't use wheat, they don't use corn, they don't use rye. It is 100% malted barley through and through. It's one of the very few companies that do this. It's made, distilled, everything completely in Colorado. And the 6 different expressions that they have of this is the let's see, this they've got one called Solera. I didn't look up what the Solera process was, but they've got one that they call Solera. Well, they don't call it Solera. It's like a blue moon or blue flake or blue something. And then they've got a 10-year. They have one that's called Snowflake, which I think is kind of interesting. They call it that because no two are ever alike, right? They finish them in wine, sherry, cognac, rum, and tequila barrels, and then they blend them all together. It's a very interesting concept. I don't know of anybody else doing that. That sounds very cool, and I'd like to try that if I ever find it. They do have a sherry cask bottle and a once in a lifetime, once a year, if you only live a year. It's once in a lifetime. Very limited private reserve. So their best customers get a bottle of the private reserve. People like me, this is their first bottle. My first bottle, you're not going to ever see the private reserve. Maybe if you're there and they pour it on site, that's about as far as you're going to get. So this is the original. It's a 100% malted barley, yeast, and water, produced and aged. There we go. Produced and aged at a single distillery. Aged like bourbon in newly charred oak barrels for a minimum of 4 years, sometimes up to 5. Some of them are 2-year barrels and then they blend them. There's 2 different sites that I got information of. One said no less than 4 years. Another said it could be a blend of 2 and 5 years. So it is what it is. Let's see, 94 proof, retails for about $55 in the state of Ohio. It's a small batch whiskey, normally only comprised, I should have looked at this. Normally only comprised of about 10 to 20 barrels. This cap, which we are going to take advantage of, if I can ever get it open. I thought that was opening it. It only had the paper on it, and I thought that was that. All right. The cap is a 3-ounce shot glass, but it also has markings on it for 1 ounce and 2 ounce, which is kind of neat. So we'll be using that tonight, because why not? All right. So that's really all the information I have about this. It kind of started off with a friendship. There was a gentleman by the name of Jess Graber, and he at the time, and he may still be, I don't know. This is like early 90s. Jess was on the volunteer fire department, and there was a call for a barn fire at a distant neighbor by the name of George Stranahan. And he went down as a volunteer firefighter, helped put out the fire. I don't know if the barn survived. It didn't say. I don't know what was in the barn. Chickens, old cars. I don't know. Maybe he was cooking up some juice here. But anyway, the barn cut fire, he went down. They made friends with each other. They found out that they both have a love of the outdoors. Very unique bottle. It's flat on this side. I like the way it feels in my hand. They both love the outdoors, and they both love sipping bourbon. So they started this company together in 1994. And the rest, as they say, is history. So there you go. There's kind of the history of the brand of Stranahan's. Now, interestingly enough, Stranahan's is the reason that this one cannot be called bourbon. This would be bourbon. Tin Cup would be bourbon, and it's made in Colorado. However, it does use a little bit of the malted barley in it as a blend. And because they use Stranahan's malted barley, 100% in this, as a mix, as a blend, it cannot be called bourbon. Their fault. But, you know, it turned into a pretty decent pour. It's thin and doesn't have a lot going on with it, but I like it. Tom's here. Hey, Tom, what's up? Oh, sorry, Tom, I'm going to do this. I want to raise a glass when I taste this. I want to raise a glass to Tom Hinger Sr. Tom, who's watching, his father passed away yesterday morning after a long battle with COPD. So he now joins his wife and Jesus in heaven, and he was a good man to me. He was a very nice man, always had a joke, always had a smile. He was a good guy, and I hadn't seen him in, oh gosh, it's probably been, I don't know, 5 or 6 years since I saw him. He's been in and out of nursing homes and things like that. His health has gone down. I saw him at his wife's funeral, I think is really the last time I saw him. No, I saw him one time since then. He wanted to sell me old yearbooks. He was a collector. I remember he would pick up he would subscribe to HBO. And this is a long time ago, so if anybody wants to get, well, he's dead. You can't go after him now. But anyway, he would subscribe to HBO, and he would grab these VHSs and he would tape these movies like crazy, thinking that he could sell the tapes and make money off of it. He never sold one of them, but he had a lot of them. Anyway, he was always somebody with different ideas, and he was in the Air Force for a very long time. He served in Vietnam. He was a patriot, definitely a patriot. He was a good man, a good father, good husband, and he will be missed. So, the malt whiskey, is malt whiskey like Scotch? You're welcome, Tom. Malt, they call this a single malt whiskey. And the idea with that is because of the single grain, in this case, because it's just 100% barley. But they also call it that because it is distilled and, I want to make sure I get my words right. I don't want to mess up my words. Produced and aged at a single distillery, which if it were Scotch and you call it a single malt, that would be the definer of Scotch, because it has to be the product of a single distillery. That's a single malt. There's a lot of blended Scotches, and it's a product of several different distilleries. But for a single malt Scotch, it has to be the product of just one. This is the product of just one. So you can call it that in America. It's a unique product. But they're also calling that because of the single ingredient, which is the 100% malted barley grain. That's all that's in it. So the internet seems to really like this bottle, if nothing else, because of the innovation behind it. I read a few reviews, and they were all like, this is really cool. So we'll see what I think of it. And this first taste will be going out to Tom Sr. Ooh, that's interesting. It's got almost a wine-like nose. Definitely a wine-like nose. My golly. Very fruity. I'm getting hints of black cherry. What is that? Plum, maybe? I'm looking for citrus. I'm looking for lemon. I'm looking for lime. I'm looking for orange. Maybe Corinthian leather? I know that's not something you would normally think that you would like in a drink, but I like that on the nose in this case. This is really unusual. Some honey. It's really light. You got to look for it. Maybe slightly hints of rum. This is not aged in a rum cask. This is aged the same way that bourbon is, in a charred American white oak barrel. That's really interesting. Raspberry, or maybe blackberry, maybe a little bit of both. Definitely none of the citrus fruits, but yeah. So malted barley, what malted barley is barley that has been opened up, because you got barley that's the grain, and then once they start the process, it opens up and it starts to green up. And once that is opened up, that's now malted barley. So it might have some rye-ish notes where it has some grassiness to it. I'm not sensing that in this at all. Maybe green tobacco. But definitely the fruits are, it's really jumping out at me. This is interesting. I've never smelled anything like this. I like this. I like the nose on this. It's so unusual. Okay. All right. Let's put it on the palate. See what we think. Ooh, there it is. So the bloom is very slow. Very slow. It presents itself as a much lower proof than it is. But then it gets there. You let it get there, right? And then as it goes down, then you feel warm. There's this warmth that happens back here. And that made me smile. That was nice. It didn't save its flavor for there. There are some bourbons and whiskeys that I've had that didn't do anything on the front, and then all the flavor was just in the throat. And that's not where I want to enjoy my drink. I want it to be in the palate. And I am getting quite a bit of flavor out of this. I wasn't necessarily tasting it for flavor there. I was trying to find out the characteristics on the mouthfeel and the bloom. Most importantly, the bloom. Now let's get a second taste and maybe get an idea what the mouthfeel and the flavor profile is. That is like nothing I've ever had. It's still very wine-like. There's definitely some fruits on the palate. I'm going to switch over here and go to the flavor wheel. Because I'm going to walk through this and I just don't know what all I'm sensing here. Right now, on the like around 2 o'clock, you see rye, malt, cereal, cocoa, grain. So I'm going to put you in the grain category and definitely the malt and possibly the cereal. I'm not doing anything in the sweet aromatics whatsoever. Gosh, this is tough. So I'm going to fruit and floral. There's that cherry. I can go with peach. Not orange. I could probably tell you there's a little coconut in this. Blackberry, raspberry, floral. No, I'm not getting rose petals or geraniums or any of that stuff. If I were to do anything in the wood, I'm thinking that it may have that toasted oak, maybe a little of the green oak. But if it is oaky at all, it's unusual. It's not like a normal oaky beverage like you would normally say, hey, like a really oaky wine or a really oaky bourbon. I'm not gonna tell you it's giving me that. This is completely 100% unusual. Not like anything I've ever had before. And Kevin, in case you're worried, it tastes nothing like mellow corn. Mellow corn is the corn whiskey that we tried here earlier this year, and Kevin hated it and brought me his bottle. This is nothing like that. I don't know if you would like this, Kevin. It's definitely outside the norm, and I don't know if this is one that you would enjoy. I haven't 100% figured out if I'm enjoying it yet. I think I'm still wowed by how unusual it is. Okay. I'll say this. It doesn't change much. I'm not getting any complexity. Like with some bourbons, like the old Forester 1910, 1920, Statesman, some of those are just so complex. And you get drinking those, and as you drink them, they change. And there's, oh, I get this time. Oh, I get that. Oh, there's a little, I'm not getting any of that with this. It's a kind of a one-note thing. I think it'd be fabulous to try this in some of the more traditional drinks, like an old-fashioned or a Manhattan. I think it'd be really cool. It does have a spiciness that might cut through those sugars. It might not. It's not a rye. It doesn't have that same thing going on. It doesn't have a lot of, maybe some big, no. Maybe a little, no. It's tough to pinpoint. It's nutty a little bit. That's maybe a good way to put it. Maybe some walnut. It's just totally 100% completely different than anything I've ever tried before. Right? Okay. All right. So let's just do a little bit more so I can add some water to it. See what that does. Put that up there. There we go. All right. You still got all those videotapes, Tom? Holy cow. Oh my gosh. I don't envy the job you have. I mean, I'm trying to get rid of stuff in my house so that when I pass away someday, my kids aren't going, why did he keep this? Oh my gosh! I'm just worried about some of the things they're going to find. My dad never hid really much of anything. I didn't find anything I didn't expect. I knew where his Playboy collection was. The only thing I found that I didn't expect was he had written me and my sister a letter before he passed on, and this is some time before he had passed on. He just was kind of thinking ahead. He was always thinking ahead. He got his funeral plot like really early. he bought his plot and his casket. He planned for a long time for his own demise. He was very smart that way, very good planner. But sometime, let's see, he passed away in 2014, so I want to say it was I want to say it was like the mid 2000s, like 2005, 2006, something like that. And he wrote my sister and I a letter. And that was hard to read. I was grateful for it, but it was hard to read. Now, I took a cue out of his playbook and I wrote my kids a letter. I don't think I'm going to be going anytime soon, but I'm seeing a lot of people dying in their 50s with this COVID garbage. So you never know what's going to happen to me or when. So I wrote my kids a letter. And though I tried to make it funny, I tried to use all the euphemisms I could think of for dying. Worm food, pushing up daisies, all those different things I could think of for myself. I forgot to turn on a light. How's it look? Oh, it's a little bit grainy. Hold on. There. That ought to solve that problem. No more graininess. You can't have those mugs. You want to know? I'll show you what he's talking about. I got it right here nearby. Hold on. All right, so my mother was into ceramics. And my father is like from the 1960s, a subscriber to Playboy. Like to look at the ladies, my mother never minded. Well, she found a mold in ceramics. And I have one of them, Tom. I have one. And you can drink out of that. There's a hole in it. Yeah, so my mom made this mug from my dad. And I still have it, obviously. And it's going to stay mine forever. Until it isn't anymore. Until I'm not around anymore. How's that? But it's very fragile, and I try to take good care of it, and I try to keep it somewhere where it's not going to get busted. Anyway, all right, so I put this Stranahan's on water, and I'm not going to drink it out of that because that has not been washed probably in 30 years. I don't think anybody ever drank. He probably drank out of it once or twice. All right, so this is the Stranahan's with a little bit of water in it. Okay, it definitely opened it up a little bit. It bloomed out the flavor more. It's definitely more flavorful. I won't say that I'm picking up anything new, but the complexity of the flavors did grow when I put that on water. I did more than that. I don't want to know. I don't want to know, Tom. There's some things I just don't need to know. Okay? It definitely got more flavorful. Did it add any flavors? No. But did it become more savory? Yes. It definitely became more savory. All right. So far, I like this best with a little bit of water in it. All right, next, let's add our ice sphere. A little bit of the Hirsch was left in there. Boy, does that taste different. After having the Stranahan's, man, that is significantly different. This is one of those things that I think when you start with this, it'll be difficult to go to anything else, at least not like whole hog. You have to give yourself a little time or do a palate cleanser of some sort. Oh. All right. Try it on a little ice sphere. My gorgeous clear ice sphere. Oh, yeah. Lovely. I don't want to go too far tonight. I actually have to go back to work. I think I might make dinner at some point, but after that, I got to go back to work. All right. Get this nice and cooled down on my gorgeous ice sphere. Hope you all had a great new year. And I hope so far that you're staying healthy. I know a lot of people are sick. We had our New Year's Eve party. And we ended up having some people come to the house that we didn't expect to come to the house because they couldn't go to everybody else's house because everybody else was sick. Me, I'm in pretty good shape, and I take good care of myself, and I do vitamins and try to keep to myself, keep out of the public. So I'm not going to see myself getting sick anytime soon. All right. Gosh, that's beautiful, isn't it? Just gorgeous. All right. So here we go. This is the Stranahan's original 100% single malt barley whiskey on ice. It loses a lot of the heat. There's still a little bit there. It doesn't add anything. It actually changes the mouthfeel a little bit, dries it out some. Can't say I'm a fan of that. Yeah, I don't think I want to have it on ice. I think if I were to have Stranahan's, just again, I would know that I would want to pour it, give myself a half ounce or so of water, and that's what I would do with the Stranahan's. I like it. It's different. It's unusual. It's like nothing I've ever had before. I'm glad I tried it. New year, new things. New tastes, new bottles, new pours. Yeah, I'm not loving it on ice. Whereas the Horse Soldier last week I liked better on ice. This one I like better with a little water. Yep, so. All right, well, there you go. There you have it. That is Stranahan's in the heart of Denver, Colorado, 94 proof, single malt whiskey. At one point, the people who bottled this whiskey would personalize it. They'd draw something on it, but I don't see them doing that anymore. I don't see anything that sets this apart from any other bottle that I would buy anywhere else. Our original whiskey recipe uses 100% malted barley and pristine Rocky Mountain water, double distilled in small copper stills, and we let it rest in virgin American oak casks. This is bottle number 8851, batch number 248. I think they're still in the same batch right now. Jess signs it. That's the guy who put out Mr. Stranahan's fire. Handcrafted at high altitude, elevation 5,280, 5,280 feet. So roughly a mile above sea level. It's interesting. It's good. I mean, if this is all you're going to have some night, I'd say try it out. It's unusual and it's different, and I didn't not like it. I didn't love it. But of the three expressions, neat, water, ice, it's best on a little bit of water. So, I have no idea what I'm doing next week. That's just the way it's been. I choose the day that I do it. But if I can look ahead, or if you have any suggestions, we will meet again here next Thursday at 7:30 and figure out what we're doing then. Unless, like I said, you have a suggestion ahead of time, and if I can find what it is you want me to taste. All right? So, thanks again for hanging out with me on your Thursday evening. Take good care of yourselves. Have a fantastic new year. I haven't seen you since last year. So sorry. All right. You guys take care of yourself, and we will see you next week. Tell everybody about us. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the blog, beautifulbourbon.com. Spread it out. I've got my head in one spot now because of this mug. I'm sorry. All right. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.